So what I want to do is take a minute to explain to you why it's so hard for us to nail down a price per foot on your particular fence and why the variables can be huge. The fence behind me is probably the most ideal conditions that we could ask for on a fence project. And I'll talk about some of the things of what made this the ideal fence. As you'll notice, somebody's come through here because they're building a house on this side of the fence and located again. And so we've got some nice locate marks. If you would have taken that fence that's right here, which just so happened to be the property line, and if that fence was right here where I'm standing, 4 feet over, the cost of that fence would have skyrocketed, because then all of a sudden we have to contend with all these fiber and gas lines and electric lines and stuff that run in this utility corridor. So just that one fact could add a couple $1,000s to the cost of your project, just because of the extra labor it takes to dig the holes by hand versus using a piece of equipment. Some other things that made this project really nice for us is we didn't have to get rid of any of the soil. We could basically dig the soil up, just spread it out on the ground, because there's no grass on either side of the fence. This is a dirt lot on this side, and this is a dirt lot on this side, so we can just spread the dirt out and let it lay right where it is. Now, if this is a grassed yard on one side or the other, or both sides had grassed yard, and this is a dividing fence between 2 yards, then we've got to pick up all that dirt. Not only do we have to pick it up, we've got to haul it off and find a place to dispose of it. That can add cost. You can see that we had a long run of fence, and there's no gates. Gates are another thing that can add a lot of cost. If you've got a little bit of fence, maybe 50 feet, you're going to do a little bit on your back line, and then you've got 2 gates on either side, and you want a double drive gate. Each one of those gates, the cost per foot of a gate is exponentially more than the cost per foot of the fence. So the more gates you have and the shorter run of fence, the more it costs. We were able to bring a concrete truck to this whole thing, drive around this entire project with a concrete truck, get to all of it with our machines. And so we didn't have the extra labor of wheelbarrowing concrete, which takes time and money. We didn't have any short load charges because it wasn't a 10 section fence. I think this fence is about 400 feet long altogether. So instead of having 10 posts where we have to order a minimum of 3 yards of concrete or mix it by hand, we were able to just bring the concrete truck in and order exactly what we needed and not get charged for short load charges or something like that. So those are some other things that made this the ideal project. Now what I'll do is I'll take you over to some other projects and show you some other projects that we've done in the past and how those would have cost and did cost much more than this did per foot for the exact same fence in different conditions. You saw the other project over in Powell, and I've brought you to a place that's very near and dear to my heart. This is a part of Cody, Wyoming, that is notoriously horrible. I mean, everything about it's horrible. We actually lost the customer that we did all this stuff for. Was a builder that wanted us to charge the same price per foot no matter where we were at in Cody, and couldn't understand that we just couldn't do that and make money. And it was all over this subdivision here. So what we ended up having is the rock that's on that hillside right over there. That hillside's just full of trash and garbage, and I think they leveled out some of this property, and the boulders that are here are like this. You can run into any kind of just horrible digging conditions here. Not to mention, we have a utility corridor that runs right down this way. And it's there again, luckily enough, we've got a utility locate right here that says the gas line's right here. That means that not only do we have all these rocks to contend with here, because we're within 2 feet of the gas line, we have to hand dig all these, which means we have to get out bars and shovels and hand dig the holes rather than use equipment that's made for doing this. And we can run into some pretty bad digging conditions here. Rock, really hard ground. We have hard clay is what we typically have in this area if it's not rock. So it's not something you can just put your post hole diggers in, or your clam shells, or whatever you want to call them, your double shovels, and easily dig the hole. We can use digging bars and still fight our way through a lot of this type of ground. Right here I've got electrical, there's telephone here, and then there's gas. So we have all the utilities here. And then other special things like right down here, guess what we're doing? We're putting a fence next to a fence. That's not easy either. All these things drive up cost. The size of this yard, I'm gonna guess this yard's probably got a 200-foot fence. And I see 1, 2, so there's going to be at least 3 gates on it. All that stuff drives up costs. So this is almost the exact other end of the spectrum from the project we looked at in Powell. And when somebody calls up and they say, I want a fence, can you give me a price? If I was going to price everything like it was over on that project in Powell, I would lose money on every single one of those. That's why we bid every single job specific to what it is. No two projects are the same. Every project's got its own unique conditions, and it's important to remember that. And this is just a really good example of that. Both are 6-foot solid white vinyl privacy fence, same material, same everything, but two completely different costs. I think that's one of the toughest things that we have for us to try and explain to our customers or get across to our customers, is that their project is unique to them, their circumstances, their conditions, and everything else. That's why we call pricing by the foot the socialism of the fence world, because no two projects are the same, and somebody's going to get a great deal and somebody's going to get hosed. And usually, even if you go on the average price, I'd be lucky if I broke even, and we want to be here to serve you tomorrow. And that's why we don't charge by the foot.